She is the most popular person in our building today. She brought THB for everybody. I was like, oh my God.
Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the Maryland Lacrosse Show here at Greene Turtle. Coach, you start out 7-0, but you're handed your first loss. What lessons can be taken away from that one?
Yeah, I think win or lose, we always try to do the same thing. You know, we kind of give the guys a couple days on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday we regroup, and then the coaches will pour through the film. And like every week, you know, when you win, there's always some things that you can pick up and maybe feel like you can do better. And even in a loss, there's always good things, but there's always things that, you know, you're kind of looking at what are people doing, you know, whether it's what they're running against you, offensively, defensively, middle of the field. And then you try to kind of look and go, all right, this is what we did well. Hey, here are some things we need to improve upon. We have a lot of guys getting really important minutes for the first time. So, again, win or lose, they're getting valuable experience. And hopefully they can use those experiences and keep building on it as we go. Certainly proud of the guys. You know, we're down. We came back. And, again, just fell a little bit short. But, again, I think a lot that we can take from it for sure.
And you guys, Hopkins, Penn State, you guys all lose at home here in kind of the opening weekend for Big Ten. How deep is this conference?
Yeah, everybody's good. I mean, I think it's, you know, kind of goes to show how good college lacrosse is. There's just so many good teams, a lot of good players, more good players playing than ever. Coaches doing a great job of recruiting and acquiring talent, and then developing and coaching that talent. And certainly our league's no exception to that. The margin, each game is very small, but it goes, you know, just goes to show how important lacrosse is at all these schools now.
Guest this week, Colin Burles. Colin, what did you see in the locker room and in practice throughout this week from the guys responding to this loss?
Yeah, obviously when you lose, there's kind of a new sense of urgency that the team needs to find. But at the same time, not every week goes as planned, and you learn a lot more from your failures as you do your successes. So just kind of regrouping, resetting, and just attacking the week, just like we have every other week, is going to be so important for us moving forward.
You've been here for now 4 years. Do you think a loss can fuel a group moving forward?
Definitely. I think that, I mean, if you look back at last year, kind of how we ended the season was great, but a lot of that kind of came from the way our regular season ended. We ended with a loss to Hopkins and then straight into a bad loss to Penn State, actually, in the Big Ten tournament. And you kind of see how that kind of creates that sense of urgency and allows teams to kind of regroup and be ready to attack moving forward. So I definitely think that a loss is fueling for moving forward.
Coach, it can be kind of hard to find moral victories, but there certainly are positives. And when you see a guy get in there like Jonah Carrier, the freshman, what he was able to do from the dot, what have you seen from him and the freshman class as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I really like our stable of face-off guys. That room is good. All 4 guys are, you know, capable guys. They all face off a little differently. They all bring some different things to the table, but we're confident with any 4 of those guys going out there. And we've seen a lot of improvement with Mitchell Lloyd, who hasn't gotten a ton of time. He won one against Virginia, but he's another guy that if he goes out on the field, we're confident he can play well. But Jonah is an interesting guy just because since the day he got here, he just never seems phased. You know, when he gets out there, I think everybody has a lot of confidence. It's probably the way he carries himself. You know, he's just always a guy that, you know, when he's around, he never looks flustered. He always looks pretty focused and confident in his ability. And I think that carries over to us for sure. So again, where, you know, maybe you're struggling a little bit, you throw somebody else in, and when you're in that moment, like knowing that Jonah can get it done, you're more excited to use him more and more. So that gives you a little more depth down stretch here.
Colin, I see you smiling when I bring him up. What have you seen from him?
He's been awesome. Obviously, our whole face-off group's been great so far. But, I mean, I want to say he's the youngest guy on our team. He came in here at 17 years old, and he comes in with that much confidence and knowing that he's able to do whatever he puts his mind to. So he was a great bright spot for us, and we're going to need him to continue as well as all the other guys. So he's been he's been great so far.
How hungry is this freshman class to get on the field and make an impact?
Yeah, I think anytime you are a freshman athlete, there's a lot of learning. I think if you look at the way high school lacrosse is played and then college lacrosse, it's a big jump. Just just the complexity, the schemes, how fast the game is, but also, especially with guys getting extra years here and there. A lot of times, it's kind of an older group over the last 5-6 years that kids are coming in and trying to compete against. So I think it's very hard to come in having so much success, whether it's, men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, any sport. You get here and it gets a little humbling and it can mess with your confidence. So I think one of the things we constantly try to remind the guys is, Colin was one of them. Like, there's just an adjustment period and you can't flinch, can't doubt yourself. You just have to realize, like, during that adjustment period, you're going to fail. You're going to fail more than you've been used to failing. But from failure, a lot of times becomes, you really have the most growth. And so look at it as, opportunities to grow. And just keep fighting and scrapping. And I know a lot of our older guys are really good at supporting those guys. And we do have some guys, Pete Lake's done a really good job, Jack Schultz. And then we have some other guys that have done well in practice that maybe other people haven't seen. Some we're thinking about redshirting or preserving that year if we can. You can't do it with everybody, but if you can do it with a few, I think you would love to do it. And now that gives them a year to get acclimated, but they're still doing a great job for us. Our scout teams have been awesome, whether it's offensively or defensively. And, if I'm a freshman and I'm going up against guys like Colin, Will Schaller, Jackson Canfield, and I'm an attackman, I'm going to get better every day just from, what those guys bring to the table.
Guy that he mentioned was Peter Lake. He's played a lot, I think, this year as a freshman. What have you seen out of him as somebody who also got time as a freshman?
Yeah, he's been incredible so far. So obviously you see the kind of value of having more than 3 close guys or guys that are getting experience and gaining that confidence, because last year when somebody goes down, you need people ready to step up. But Peter's been great so far. Obviously he came in here playing in high school with guys like AJ Larkin, coached by Matt Dunn, so he's kind of had a lot of that Maryland teaching. But he's been great. He's kind of one of those guys like Jonah that seems almost unfazed no matter how it's going, and that's a big aspect of it because confidence is half the battle. So excited to keep seeing him moving forward.
How cool is it for you, Coach, to hear him say Matt Dunn as a coach, a guy that you coached is now kind of setting guys up for you to have on your team?
Yeah, it's great. You obviously you want the guys, Colin will leave, but you want him to go out in the world and make an impact in every area that he goes into, whether it's his job, his family, his community. Matt went into the finance world and obviously was a really bright guy, was in the honors college here, and was doing the finance thing and just didn't feel like it was kind of fulfilling him and his why. So kind of gave that up, did a U-turn, and probably a good time to do it, when he was younger in his career to see if it's what he wanted to do. And again, I'm not surprised that Matt is successful at anything just because I know, how intelligent he is, how thoughtful, his attention to detail and how hard he works. And, he's done a great job with the group that he works with Deemer class, and then also coach at high school. So he's definitely making a positive impact, not just as players, but just as people. And again, that's just classic Matt Dunn in so many different ways.
And the work that he did at Loyola, what does that say to you about just the lacrosse community here in Maryland as a whole, where you've got guys that maybe spent time at Maryland, where they're now moving on and they're just, I guess, a big part of what's going on in this state right now and how these guys are coming up?
Yeah, I think, you certainly kind of feel thankful when you're at a place like Maryland where lacrosse is so important. But I think Colin wouldn't disagree. The greatest thing about being at Maryland is the people, whether it's our lacrosse program, it's the people you get to work with, the students that are here, our fans, just everything about Maryland. Like, it's just a special place. And that's what motivates you to work hard and try to do your very best, as you don't want to let anybody down. And it does challenge you to be your best every day. But our alums are awesome. They're so supportive. There's so much passion about the program from them. And so to see that passion, again, it's just something that drives you every day to not let them down.
Senior day is coming up. For you, what does that day mean?
Day means a lot. Obviously, Coach Silman was talking about it the other day. Kind of in the moment, it doesn't seem like an important thing to a lot of the guys that are seniors and are there, but it's so important for the families and for the recognition after, just to understand that you're being rewarded for what you've put into the program for the past 4 years. So obviously this one kind of means a little bit more, being one of our last home games. But at the same time, just kind of being recognized for the work you've put in and the differences and changes you made to this program. So.
And Coach, for you, you've been here for a few senior days now. What is so special about this group?
One of the great things about senior day is you do have some flashbacks, even like during the week of, seeing these guys on move-in day, and you go back to those, faces, and, they look so much younger. You reflect back to those guys, the excitement of stepping on campus. And then knowing that, when they did get here, they were kind of wide-eyed. They were trying to figure out where their classes were, trying to find their way here, and very vulnerable at that time. Now you see them and they're confident. You've seen them stand up to the academic challenge, the athletic challenges. You see the growth that they've made, personally, and knowing that, again, they're going to be leaving us pretty soon. To me, it's hard because they are great guys, and I'm so thankful for the group that we have. They are just great human beings, and I try to let them know that as much as I can, because I do appreciate that, and I don't take it for granted. And again, it's just one more thing to motivate you, because you don't want to let them down. They're doing their part. So as coaches, we got to make sure we set them up for success, whether it's what we're doing academically, what we're doing to help them get jobs, but also you love seeing them excited on Saturday, and you don't want to see them sad. So we got to make sure we do everything we can to set them up for success.
Is that kind of tough for you to balance, where you have each year this group of guys that are coming in and you're trying to get them ready to go, but you've also got a group of guys that you're going to be around for the last time?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that keeps you locked in. I think, I was talking to a high school coach last night, and, sometimes, during the year, you can kind of get into, just things kind of get routine-esque, right? And, you got a lot of things going on, and you want to make sure you stay in the moment. And this group's done a pretty good job of staying in the moment, but you always need that urgency. And, one thing he mentioned, he's like, guys, I'm going to get another chance. I have next year. I got a new group that I'll do this with, but for this group, this is really your only chance. And for the older guys, this is your last chance. So, you definitely want to keep reminding of that, especially the younger guys, because the younger guys always feel like it's going to last forever. And then you snap your fingers, and all of a sudden 3 years have gone by, and they're in that same boat. So you want them to enjoy the moment, but remind them that the moment is here and gone pretty quickly.
For your freshman year, 2022, you're a part of one of the greatest teams in the history of college lacrosse. What was so special about that senior group, and what lessons can you kind of take away from their leadership as you now are the senior?
Yeah, that group was incredible. You look at it, they obviously failed the year before, and that was the biggest motivator going into 2022 for them. And just to kind of walk in as not being a part of the 21 team and kind of see the level of intensity, effort, attention to detail, all of that was incredible. As someone coming from high school, kind of not knowing how the college lacrosse landscape works at Maryland, just how much work they put in and how they were always motivated and focused was awesome to see. And it was really a wake-up call for a lot of us younger guys that have never experienced that before. But yeah, those guys were awesome leaders. They were great people, and they kind of brought us in as one. As soon as you step on campus, they just welcome you in. It's a really awesome experience.
How special was that particular group to you? And is it tough to see kind of the last pieces of that team now move on?
Obviously, when you're in the moment, you're so week to week that I didn't really think about the whole, undefeated thing until somebody brought it up. I think as coaches, that's kind of the way you look at it. Like you get very routine-esque, like you play a game on Saturday, typically. Again, like you leave, you come back on Monday, you've broken down the film on Saturday or Saturday night or Sunday. You've watched the upcoming opponent. You kind of start installing a game plan. And then, you go through the week with the guys and you do it day after day, week after week. And after a while, like, you kind of end up with a record. But you really realize it's always about what's next. If you won the game, there's stuff you got to fix. There's stuff you got to improve upon. If you lost, same thing, but you got to look, did we make any changes, whatever it may be. That year, things gelled fairly quickly, probably a little faster maybe than some other years, partly because we had so many returning guys and the new guys that came in meshed very quickly. But I think their ability to stay so dialed in and stay so focused, kind of what Colin mentioned, without, like, they never let up. Like there was no week where like guys were flat. Like they were just like so dialed in. And I just remember guys like Logan Wisnauskas, like I felt like he never smiled until Memorial Day, and until that game was over. And like it was like something that they were just determined to do. So that was unlike any. I think each year I'm thankful for the group we have. You never know how it's going to go, and I never judge any team solely by the record. There's so much more that we do here than just win lacrosse games. Getting these guys to make sure they're being their best in everything and creating a mindset and life skills that help them be successful for whatever they want to do. In my opinion, that's more important than anything, because lacrosse ends, they're going to have careers and they're going to have families and they're going to have to navigate a very challenging world. And through the ups and the downs and maybe some of the stuff they experience here, we hope they see just about everything and they know how to deal with failure and adversity. And know how to bounce back. They know how to support people they care about when they're down. They know how to be humble when they've had success, but they know how to be consistent in terms of every day getting up and realizing you got to earn it every day, because that's the way the real world works. So I don't think there's one team that ever have felt as more special than other. And I say that with all sincerity because every team is special. And just because one team has more All-Americans and maybe wins more games, they're no more special. It's the relationships that you create, and those are like gold. Because, the people that have the biggest house on the street, that doesn't mean they're the happiest people. It's the people in the house that make the house a home. And if you have a great family, everything else takes care of itself.
That was my freshman year too for that season. So I get to campus, I get to call a few of those games, and in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, this is Maryland lacrosse. They just never lose. But you get to the title game that year. Last year, it's a very different path for you guys, but you still make it happen. What lessons have you learned from last year, and now you take that into this year? You're not undefeated anymore, and it's not going to be easy. As Coach said, college lacrosse is insane right now. A hard road to get there is very much still in play.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a ton of parity in college lacrosse right now. You've seen it in the Big Ten and all season through pretty much every conference. But it's all about taking every single week, just week by week. Right now, we're focused on Penn State. Last week, it was Michigan. You can't look too far ahead. So I think that's something that's super important for us, is just to not get ahead of ourselves. Because you said it, there's a really long road and it's going to be hard, and we're going to have to work hard, and it's going to be a grind just to get to that Memorial Day weekend. But I have a ton of confidence in this group. We just keep working, put our heads down and keep working, stay humble, like Coach said, then we should be able to be successful. So I'm excited.
100th year of Maryland lacrosse, and every time you put on that jersey, you're putting on the jersey of so many guys before you. Do you feel that pressure when you get in the game wearing Maryland on the front of your jersey?
There's no pressure to it. I've been around Maryland lacrosse my whole life. My father, my uncle played here. My older brother played here. It's just something I've grown up coming to games. And it's not pressure. It's more of system of support. Like all these guys that came before you, all they want is the best for you. It's all just, you see the alumni. Like this past weekend, a bunch of my former teammates were at the game, and as soon as the game ended, they're all coming down to the field, giving us hugs, like telling us, yeah, obviously we still have work to do, but they're proud of us. Like it's not as much pressure as it is just support and kind of 100 years of people knowing what the grind is like and knowing why we do it. And it's awesome. So wouldn't want to trade it for the world.
You talk about the why. One last question for you, Coach. I saw you guys kind of adopted Camden, working with Team Impact, and you guys brought him in as one of your own. What can you say about that program and how sometimes things are just bigger than lacrosse?
Yeah, we're really fortunate. I think back in 2015, we started working with Team Impact through a former teammate of mine in college, and Finn Crimmins, and it was just a great experience. I think it was an opportunity to help a young guy who maybe has gone through a lot more challenges at this point in his life than maybe some other guys. And sometimes, that can really impact you, as a young person, asking why, and maybe you feel a little bit isolated, or, you just kind of feel like you haven't had the same path as maybe some other kids. Yet now all of a sudden you have this group of 50, young men that are kind of adopting you and want to be around you and want to be part of your life and have kind of opened their arms to you, which I think is great. To me, that support does go a long way. I think from our perspective, it's a healthy reminder of how great we have it. And sometimes, I think we could all kind of feel sorry for ourselves, or we could get caught up in worrying about some things that are a lot more trivial than we think. So that perspective, I think, can be healthy. But just another way to create a relationship. And again, relationships are everything in our program, whether it's Camden and his family or Colin and his family, guys that played on that 22 team, guys that played, 40 years ago. We're all connected through, the fabric of Maryland lacrosse, and it's made our life better. And to be part of something like that and have something that we can, kind of always come back to and be associated with, man, that makes your life special.
Terps are back in action. Another top 10 matchup this Saturday at noon against Penn State. Thank you guys so much.
The word was
Okay, thank you.
2.5 million viewers this week. That's amazing.
Welcome back to the Maryland Lacrosse Show here at Green Turtle. We're joined by Coach Kathy Reese, Corey Edmondson. Coach, you haven't lost since the home opener until Saturday. What lessons can you take away from that?
I think a lot, actually. We felt really good going into our game up at Northwestern. Northwestern is one of the top teams in the country. And so we started off and dug ourselves into a hole that was just too deep to get out of. But I think as the game went on, we learned a lot about ourselves and what we're capable of doing. Once we settled in defensively, we really limited them to 5 goals over a period of about 40 minutes, which was huge for us. Again, the hole was just too deep to get out of. But after revisiting a lot of it over the past couple of days, I think our team knows what we need to do. We know what we're capable of. We know what the possibilities are. And we just need to dig a little deeper and work a little smarter and play a little harder and see what happens. We're getting ready to turn around and have a game day today. So here we are, just a little pregame pep talk with Corey, and we'll be ready to rock and roll today versus Oregon.
It still is just your first loss since February 15th. Mm-hmm. The confidence in this team has to still be high.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what's the hardest part about it all is that we as a coaching staff believe in this group so much. We've just much talent. This has been such a fun year. The girls are so talented. They're all on the same page. They're working really hard. They're giving us everything we have. And we have 2 losses so far this season against 2 of the top teams in the country, which, were for us opportunities for us to learn about ourselves and just get a little bit better. And so, as a staff, we're ready to keep moving on. We had played 8 games in 7 weeks, and now we're on 8 games in 4 weeks. So we're ready for a real quick turnarounds coming up here and playing against a lot of really tough opponents. So it'll be a tough stretch for us for sure.
Corey, coming off the last loss, you guys were able to win 6 in a row. Do you think this can be a spark again?
Yeah, most definitely. I think we don't let one loss define us, just like how the Syracuse loss didn't define us. We came back and bounced back, and that's where we kind of got our steam when we started rolling. So I think we can do the same thing after this one.
I think a big theme in our conversations this year has been there's so much new in this team. How have they responded to this loss? Now have they worked this weekend to get better?
Well, I mean, new meaning too, we had a lot of just new faces that have never played against Northwestern before, or been on the field. I mean, Corey was one of the few with a couple of my returning defenders that have actually faced them. And a lot of people on the field haven't just seen that level, or we beat them in 22, but weren't on the team at that point. And so it was just a really good learning experience for us to see the level that they were with a conference opponent that was in the national championship game last year and was a national champion the year before. And so this is a team that we know that we can compete with. We know what we're capable of, and we just need to bring it for a full 60 minutes. And you can't have lapses against a great team like that, or they're going to make you pay.
When you have a bunch of players that have not played against a team, I think that's definitely hard. Mm-hmm. And now you've got to play Oregon, a team that Maryland, I don't believe has ever played. Now they're in your conference.
Yep.
So you got to worry about them every year. Yep. What has this challenge been like scouting a completely new team?
Yeah, you said it's new. We have Oregon and USC who joined when joining the Big Ten, both have women's lacrosse programs. And so, for us, thankfully, Oregon's home today. We don't have to make the trip out there, but we do turn around and play USC away next weekend. And so that's never been out there. I have no idea what we're going into. We're flying through Arizona, playing Arizona State first. We go out there. But, one of Oregon's assistant coaches is an alum of ours, Theo Quaz. And so it'd be really cool to see her. They've been in College Park and in practice at our facility for a couple of days. And but it's a new opportunity. It's the world of college lacrosse is changing. College athletics is changing. And so you look at how these conference realignment has affected a lot of different conferences. And for us, it's expanded. It's let our sport grow. So with the addition of these couple teams, our conference just continues to get stronger. So big matchup today. We're ready to bring it.
Corey, for you, you've kind of had to be a leader. You've played against Northwestern before, but you haven't played against Oregon. So how have you been able to get everybody ready for this game?
Yeah, we take it as every game. We take every game just as serious as we are playing in Northwestern. So we're just all super excited to play a team that none of us have ever thought we would play before, now that they have joined the Big Ten.
And you're a junior now, so this is year 3 for you. It's weird, I guess, to look, you get into the swing of things. It's the same teams for the first 2 years, but all of a sudden, here comes 2 new teams. Yeah. How does that kind of throw a wrench in things?
It's definitely a little different. I think it's fun. We were used to playing these more like out of conference teams, but now to have 2 more in the Big Ten, I think it's awesome. It's great.
And it's just the growth, I think, of the game, too. You have such a strong conference in the Big Ten. Now you add 2 teams from out west. Do you think that could kind of open the door for more players out west to play at such a high level?
Well, for sure. I just think our sport is growing. There's more schools adding. Even in the current landscape the way it is, we've seen a couple new programs pop up in the past couple of years, and some are transitioning over to D1 in the next couple of years. But with these West Coast opponents and joining the Big Ten, our conference is the toughest in the country. And so we have this quick turnaround for us. We have a lot of battles coming up here, and every Big Ten game is a battle. I know it's the same on the men's side, and we just talked with them about that too. And every game is, listen, it always is close in the beginning, right? Start 0-0. That was what my old coach used to say all the time. It's always close in the beginning, but we turn it on and it's a battle, and you've got to bring it and be ready no matter who you play, no matter where you are, no matter what region of the country you're in. It's going to be a battle and a great game, and you need to be ready to go.
They say that iron sharpens iron. Is all just battle after battle,
It is.
making this team better?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we've been able to grow as much as we had all year. I think this is probably for our team. We've gotten so much better than when we started in the end of January to where we are right now. Do we have a room to grow? Yes. Are we going to be playing our best lacrosse right now? We're not. But that's not the plan. Well, I would love to, but we're going to keep going and keep working. So we're playing our best lacrosse as we keep going, and we're learning. And so, facing a team like Northwestern challenged us on the defensive end. They challenged us on the offensive end, all over the field. And that was, while it's done and the loss stings a little bit, we were able to see a lot of that and see a lot of possibilities and things we need to do differently for the next time around, the next time we have the chance to compete.
We talk about growth. What about the growth in your game? You've got the most assists you've ever had.
Hey now.
How has that kind of been added to your game?
I think it's just branching out. I think just knowing that I can do a lot more than just dodge, and knowing that I have the support of teammates who can do a lot, right? We have really good freshmen who can dodge. We have really good attackers who can really do it all. So knowing that kind of takes the relief off me a little bit, and I can look to do a lot of things and add to my game is super awesome.
Are you just already trusting these new faces? Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, I think they're all super good. They all have that competitive edge, and they want to be out there. So it's just, I already trust them. So it's more trust. Just give them the ball and do what they need to do.
And do you trust your defense more? You go and you play for Team USA. You're in more of a defensive role. How has that made you better?
It just made me more aware of things that I wasn't aware of before. I think Kenneth's always told me all the time there's things I need to look out for, and it just made me more just like conscious of things that I need to be doing, need to get better at. So it just gave me an opportunity just to focus on defense and have a little bit more appreciation for it than I did before.
And just overall, what was it like to play for Team USA, to represent your country?
Yeah, it was a surreal experience. Going over to Hong Kong was absolutely amazing. And it was just so much fun to meet new girls who are all the best on their team. So being able to just become best friends with a whole new group was super awesome.
How much pride does that give you to be able to see one of your players put on that jersey for their country?
Oh, it was awesome. It was great. And Corey did an outstanding job. And it's been cool to watch her specifically. And this is not with US, but this is also at Maryland. And now as a junior, and you commented on her assists, and her role's changing. Right? She's now someone that every team has to talk about, every team has to prepare for. So it's opening up other people because she's drawing a lot of attention from people. And so we've seen her game kind of elevate and grow. I mean, she's one of the best, if not the best midfielder in the nation. And so we're getting to see her get the job done on both ends and bring up people around her and not just be a one-dimensional player. And so I think the experience in Hong Kong, yes, added to her confidence. I had her on attack at the end of last year, and then she goes to Hong Kong. She's a defender, and it's like she's probably like, "What's happening?" But whatever the team needs from her, she's willing to give. And so if you tell her she needs to play in the goal, I'm sure she'll be like, "All right, suit me up, we're going." But that's the kind of player she is. She'll do whatever she can for her team to be successful. And obviously, as a coach, you value that and appreciate that.
So how did that happen? How do you go from an attacker for Maryland to a defender for USA?
That is a great question, and I'm still trying to find the answer till this day. But I think it's just all credit to Kenneth and all of how much he's taught me. I think they saw that, and they saw that's how the style they wanted to play, the more aggressive and more getting teams on the back of their heels, and we're just pressuring them out. So I think they knew that I was taught that. So they're like, you know what, she already knows. It's instilled in her. So they're like, we're going to use that to our advantage and put her on D.
So when they asked you to join the team, was it, we want you as a defender, or just we want you on the roster, and then you found out?
So the whole I already think I made the team at this point, and the coach Kelly was like, let's just do this rep straight defense. And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then I did really well, and then the next couple reps still did really well. And she's like, you know what? I think you just stay defense for the rest of this. And I was like, okay. And then it was kind of more just a Greene situation where it's you're playing defense. And I was like, if that's what it takes, then I'll do it.
As somebody who was just a pure goal scorer last year, what was the joy that you found playing defense?
It was honestly nice to see everyone else score. It was just kind of seeing the small wins. Defenders don't get as much credits as obviously the offensive girls do, but just seeing how much the small wins and just getting a ground ball or getting an interception or a cause turnover, how much that really does mean and how much that does pump your team up, and just being able to take those and just run with it.
So you have more respect now for
Yeah,
the defenders.
most definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
It
Yeah.
also is a part that why she's a great midfielder, right? Because she can do the job at both ends. She will play attack for me when I need her to. She'll play defense for us if we need her to. But showing just her versatility as a player, I think, is something that's pretty cool.
Yeah, career high in assists, but also career high in caused turnovers.
I mean, look at
To
that.
have a player like that, how
Tell
nice.
you, she's something special, and just just glad she's a Terp.
Well, I mean, when you're recruiting out of this area, she's from Maryland.
Yeah.
There's so many players on
Well,
this
I've
team
known
from
Corey
Maryland.
since she was like a little teeny kid. She was just a superstar lacrosse player ever since she was probably just started playing. Very athletic, loved the game, always had a stick in her hand. Watched her play all through high school, even middle school. I mean, even middle school, saw you guys sometimes. So it's cool to see her just be able to continue here and her growth here. Coming as a freshman, being on the field, sophomore year, and then now to junior year where her roles shift and she's a captain, and we're going back to having her in the midfield, and her assist numbers are growing, and her goals number and her caused turnovers are growing. Like she's on the draw circle. The sky's the limit for her, and that's why. Again, I think she's the best midfielder in the country, and I stand by that. I think she gets the job done. She'll do whatever I need her to do, and it's really fun to coach a person like that.
It's funny. We were just talking with the guys about this state, and particularly how Matt Dunn went from being a player at Maryland to coaching Loyola, and now all of a sudden Maryland has all these Loyola guys that just get ground balls.
Yep.
But for you, I think that it has to be so cool to see players that you used to coach now go on and coach players like her, and now they come up to this
Yeah, sure.
level.
She had Taylor at Cummings in high school for a fair bit. And, while Corey's been here, when we transitioned and added Oregon and USC to the mix, Taylor was here when we transitioned to the Big Ten. So there's always changes from the ACC. There's just changes that have gone on during each of these guys' careers. But yes, to have that Maryland ties across the board at a lot of these awesome programs, it's great. I love when people go on to coach lacrosse. It's fun.
Well, you schedule them whenever they do.
That's right. That's right. Try to.
For you, though, to grow up in Maryland, the community around the game here, how special is it for you just to be able to stay home?
It's been awesome. A big thing. I'm a big family person, so just having my family come to all my games is super fun. I mean, I grew up watching Maryland lacrosse. I was here when I was little at the games. Little girl at the sideline, just like, please sign my ball. So that's always been something like I dreamed of doing that on the opposite end, and so it's just been always an amazing opportunity.
You talk about family.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jordan Lipkin on last time.
Yeah.
She beats her sister. Has she told you guys about how she's gotten the bragging rights since then?
All the time. She always talks about it. Even the dog has the little, the half jersey. It's awesome.
No.
Oh, yeah.
For the dog.
Oh, yeah. They have the Penn State side and the Maryland side. It's so cute. Yeah.
Wow, that's real commitment.
Oh, yeah.
But to have her back, how nice has that been on offense?
It's so awesome. She's just like a breath of fresh air. She's such a hard worker, and she's always in the 8. You always find her open for the ball. She's just will literally get the ball whenever we need her, and she'll do whatever we need her to do. And she'll always put the ball in the back of the net, which is what we need.
You've also got Maisie and Chrissy. They've stepped up. I know we talk about your assists, but for them, I mean, that's been their job, I think, since they've gotten to campus. How easy is it for you to get your opportunities from them?
Well, I wouldn't be able to have the opportunities I have without them. They are able to find me and find our other offensive players on the field. So they just have great vision. They've been working so hard to just improve in any way possible. So honestly, our offense goes back to them. They're the quarterbacks of the team, really. And so they really see everything.
We talk about players stepping up, and on the draw now, you've got a role there, but you've also got Caitlin, Shelby. They've both got, I think, at least 30 draws each. What have you seen from that unit?
I love what our draw group has done so far. One of our coaches, Nadine, has kind of taken over and really worked in depth with these guys. And, the other 2 are freshmen, and we didn't have Corey on the circle last year. So it's a completely new group. They're battling. We get beat sometimes, but we adjust, and it's been cool to watch them make adjustments and go. I mean, even when we started in our Northwestern game, we went down in draws initially and fought our way back and ended up winning draws by the end of the game. So it's pretty cool to see the growth of these guys. They're working really hard, and Kayla's done an excellent job in the center, and Shelby and Corey on the circle have been are fast and athletic and quick and tough. And so it's given us a lot of opportunities and offensive possibilities and possessions.
For the past few years, that's been Shay's job.
Yep.
She did it so well. But now you've got all these different players that you kind of plug in, and they can all play their parts. Do you think that is almost an advantage that you have so many different looks?
Well, it's part of our area, our growth as a team, because it is new, and we did rely on Shay for years. She was excellent at the draw. She worked really hard at it. And now we just have a new group that's doing the same thing. They're working really hard at it. They're studying other teams. They're studying themselves. And we're working on it every day. And so it's been cool to see how far we've come since the beginning. And even really special when you see someone like Haley Russo, who's a senior, go in the game and dominate, and she's been the reason we ended up, coming away with a bunch of draws in certain games. And so it's nice to see people step up when given the opportunity and make a difference in that area.
You're playing defense, you're getting assists, but you're also doing work on the draw. What do you like about that particular role?
It honestly gives me time to reset. I think it can be in a midfielder, it can get pretty stressful playing both sides, but at time I just have time to think and then just know that I just need to focus for the first 3 seconds of this draw and get this ball for my teammates and know that whatever happens after this is up in the air.
When you're wearing so many different hats for this team, if you're doing well in one area, do you think that carries over to the others?
Yeah, most definitely. But even if I'm not doing well in one area, it makes me focus on another area more, making it that my priority for that game. So maybe I'm not shooting well today. Well, I'm going to make sure that I am being more of an assist player. Or if I'm not doing well in the draw, maybe I am doing a lot better on defense, making sure my slides are there on time. So it just gives me an opportunity to focus on many different things and not get so focused on one thing.
So you're 2 at the new Plex. It's really starting to feel like home now. I remember when it got built, we had to go in there to film a pregame show or something, and I was just blown away
It's great.
by how nice it is.
Oh, it's great. And just to have the support of our athletic department to set this up for field hockey and women's lacrosse, who have obviously a great history and tradition at the University of Maryland and with our athletic department. And it's a great home for us. Our girls love it. We obviously are in it every day, more than just practice, but it's just a space for us to just kind of stay focused, do what we need to do, take care of our business, and continue to work to be the top team in the country.
I remember seeing the video of softball getting their facility the other day and just how fired
It's
up they
fun.
were.
It's so fun.
For you and with Missy and with her group as well, what was it like to move in or move back in, I guess?
Well, and walking through, as you see kind of the construction progress and everything, it felt like forever because we were in a different, we're in the varsity team house and our offices were Xfinity. And so we weren't really able to just be as connected as we would have liked to have been with our players. I love being in the same building as them. So I could text Courtney and be like, hey, can you pop up for a second? And she can just walk upstairs and she's in our office in a couple minutes. We really have loved that piece of it. But once it was time to kind of, cut the tape and welcome everybody in, it was really special that December when we had took the bus of the team over there and everyone just got to see it for the first time. And they were, pretty impressed, I would say. And just, we really are grateful. We're grateful for the support of this athletic department. We're grateful for the support of just the administration and how much, they do for both of us. And to share a facility with field hockey has been awesome. They're great. Missy and her staff, all of our players, it's super cool. And it's a great place for the home of field hockey and women's lacrosse.
Your freshman year, I believe you guys had to play in CQ.
Yeah.
What's it like to now have a home for you two?
It's awesome. It's nice to have that's ours, right? I think it's CQ. We were at CQ, we were at VTH. It's just kind of we were just traveling. So it's super nice to be able to have something that's ours that we can go back to. We never leave. It takes us forever to get out of that facility. Allie Bull, who's our transfer, you guys need to get out so I can go home at some point. But we just love it so much, and we're so grateful that we were able to be there.
It is a game day. What does a typical game day look like for you?
Just wake up and then just kind of do what I need to do. If there's homework that I haven't done yet, which hopefully I have done my homework, but I just did that and then, eat lunch and then get ready. No, I'm pretty simple. I don't like to complicate things.
Can't let the math affect your play.
Yeah, too much math, that'll get the brain too much thinking. You don't need to think too much on game days.
Do you just have that feeling of excitement all day? Are you just waiting to get out there?
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting in class and all I'm thinking about is the game. So, which is super exciting. So can't wait to get out there today.
We talk about how cool the Plex is, but after today, I don't think you guys are back there until April 13th.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Another brutal road trip for you
Yep.
guys, but you guys have won, I believe, 11 in a row before that Northwestern loss. What makes you guys so good on the road?
So, well, that's nice to hear. Well, I think this is just a unique trip, right? We're up and back at Penn. We lost to Penn last year. They're a tough opponent. They're a tough team. So we know we have our hands full with that. We turn around and go to two schools I've never played. like I said, Arizona State, USC are two new opponents for me, so clearly new opponents for our team as well. And then we travel home from the West Coast and have a really quick turnaround when we play Virginia, which is a great ACC opponent, in a battle in our One Love game, which will be hosted up at Notre Dame Prep in Baltimore. And then we turn around and have Senior Day versus Ohio State, who's having the best season they've had in a long time. So it's a lot coming up, but at the same time, with 3 games next week, it kind of mirrors what the Big Ten tournament looks like this year. So with that in mind, it's like, okay, we need to learn how to play, to recover, to prepare, and to be ready to do it all again the next day. And so with 3 games and whatever it is, 5 days, it's the exact same thing and look that we're going to get in the Big Ten tournament if we can make it through each of the rounds.
Again, that 11-game road win streak, what do you think went into that and what made you guys so successful?
Didn't even know that was
I know, don't you
that
love when he tells us fun stats?
But I think it's awesome. I think it just shows how focused we are on the road and just making sure that we're locked in. I know it's hard for away games to feel that same routine that we usually try to get in at home, but just making sure that we continue that through our road sequence that's coming ahead.
To have these games in the middle of the week versus on the weekend, I know that Coach Tillman, he's very much Saturday.
Saturdays.
But for you guys, do you think that throws off your routine at all to have games in different days and very different looking weeks?
It's very different looking weeks. Well, the Big Ten does our schedule. And so for the Big Ten games are typically Thursdays and Sundays. Occasionally, like for us heading to the West Coast, we were able to play on Saturdays, so we can use Sunday as a travel day to kind of get home because it's a lot. So a lot of the scheduling pieces are out of our hands when we get to that, but we have more teams than the men do in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got Northwestern and USC and Oregon, and the men don't. So it just makes our trying to squeeze in these conference opponents in a shorter time span. So, you know, the girls are right. We've had a couple of 2-game weeks so far. It's a lot in this back end, but it's exciting. Again, I've talked about our growth part of the season, 8 weeks. We've really analyzed ourselves. We've analyzed our opponents. We've learned from it. And now it turns around and we've got to find ways to put ourselves out there and compete when whoever our opponent is.
This has to be the
Game.
longest trip that you have taken as a Terp. Is there any movie ideas?
No.
What's the plan for this flight?
I don't know. I haven't finished the season of Reacher yet, the new one that came out, so it's definitely on the downloads for the flight. So and definitely get some homework done, maybe be a little bit proactive in that area. So yeah.
These girls are smart. I'm telling you, my Terps are smart. They do a lot more work than I think
They're
I did on the
student
road.
athletes.
So I'm going to let's go, girls.
One last question for you. We're starting to turn into the back half of the
Mhm.
season, the business end of the season,
Yep.
I guess. For you, how much confidence do you have in this team moving forward? And especially with all these new faces now that they have half a year under their belt.
Yeah, bring it on. Let's go. We're ready to rock and roll. We said it was a really tough loss. I mean, we got smoked. But we did learn a lot. And I think that's where the question will be, can we rebound? Will we rebound? How will we rebound? You know, and so I think we've talked about changes that we need to make. We've talked about where we need to head. The coolest part about it is we do have a midweek game and an opportunity today to host at home to rebound, you know, to do what we need to do to try to become the best Maryland team we can be. So I'm really excited for what's ahead. I think we have some great opponents coming up too. There's never an easy game. Everything's a battle. And we're seeing that all across the board. And it's what we're watching in March Madness, what we're seeing on men's lacrosse, seeing with women's lacrosse. It's everywhere. And so we're aware our girls are ready for the challenge, ready to take it in and ready to get after it.
Well, let's hope that flight back from the West Coast is more fun than the one home from Northwestern.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes, that would be great. Especially because I have to fly from LA to Chicago and then home. So that's a lot longer than just Chicago to home.
Well,
So
again,
we're
I think a win would make
I
that
agree.
flight
That's
a lot
why.
more fun.
It's a lot of thinking time.
But first, the Terps, they play today at 5 on Big Ten Plus over at the Plex against Oregon for the first time ever. Thank you so much for tuning in here to the Lacrosse Show from Green Turtle.
Go Terps.
Ooh,
Thank you,
perfect.
guys.
Thank you.